I remember my first day with you, we're working on 4-yard starts. He's like, all right, we're going to tie you up. We're going to put a resisted band around you.
Yeah.
And you got 500.
Like, you know what? We can work out with him. Man. And it's like, it's cool to see that because the president of Rock Nation is really good friends with Mercedes Lewis. He's a big Green Bay Packer fan.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Mercedes comes at 8. All should come at 7. And organically, they're friends now.
Yeah. It's like 6 a.m., bro. And like my body is still waking up. And we're running these full sprints to increase our stride lengths over these hurdles. I mean, it's early. It's barely bright outside. It's barely bright outside. That caused me to go a little off balance, so I hit another one. And then like on the third or fourth one, I just like snap it in half. Obviously, Odell was probably one of the bigger ones that you've trained. How'd you start working with Odell?
It was interesting. I was working at a gym in Hollywood, and I was training a receiver that was with the New York Giants.
Right.
And he said, you know, I'm going to call some guys. I think they really like gravitate to this. And he called a bunch of guys. He called like Antonio Brown. He called Odell.
Yeah. Welcome to this episode of the Confidence Quotient podcast. I'm your host, Michael Carrillo, here with my co-host, Zane Kaufman, and a really big-time guest today. Big time. Money Mall, Jamal Liggin in the flesh. Worldwide renowned trainer for celebrities, athletes. He's a speaker now, doing a lot of things, giving back. And funny enough, I've known you since I was in middle school.
Yeah, young kid.
back when we were up in Hayward, working out in the back of a warehouse somewhere.
Yeah, San Leandro.
Yeah, had a bunch of middle school and high school kids, and then every once in a while we'd see Marshawn Lynch.
Yep.
So Jamal, I gotta know, man. Like you're in a big place now. You got your own gym. You're training NFL guys on a regular basis, celebrities. Was it always your dream to be a trainer?
I didn't know I was going to be a trainer.
Yeah.
I just had a niche, and I guess I was in tune with what people wanted to do. There's a lot of trainers that force their method, which is okay.
Yeah.
But I kind of was more on the like, what do you want to do? Do you want to get faster? Do you want to get stronger? You want to do a little bit of both? Do you want to work on mobility? Like I just kind of listened to the person.
Yeah.
And I treat everybody the same.
Yeah.
It's no different than training Odell, and it's no different than training a kid that's getting ready to go to college at USC.
Yeah.
Like I want to listen to what they want and then just build off that. And of course, incorporate like foundational movements, exercises that I think that all athletes should have a base with.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's like, what do you want? Your goals as a quarterback were different than the receivers.
Right.
You know?
Right. And you train a lot of big time guys. I mean, you said Odell, you trained Saquon, you trained, guys at Real Madrid, you trained Najee Harris, Joe Hayden, like big time guys. Question I've been down to know. Where do I stack up athletically?
You want to start that early?
Am I top 500?
Next question. Next question. That's the answer right there. No, man, you were different, bro. Like I really appreciated your work ethic.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with, your athletic ability, which was good. I'm not saying it wasn't good.
You're gonna lie on this show, bro.
But it was just like your attention to detail. And I think quarterbacks are just a different species in itself.
Sure. Yeah.
Like you guys have to know everything.
Yeah.
Like literally you have to know what I'm doing, what you're doing, why am I doing it? So anytime I get a quarterback, it's like, oh, I'm going to get tested.
Yeah.
So you automatically put me in a different mindset to train you.
Okay. All right.
Dude, I got a question. So obviously sports has changed so much since when you first started training. I mean, dude, this guy's old. You know what I mean? That's a long time ago. It's changed so much. And I know you mentioned earlier about, it's what you want. How has training changed from that athlete to the modern day athlete? And how has your training changed?
Yeah, the last 10 years.
Yeah, seriously.
That's a great question. I think the times have changed, obviously, with social media.
Yeah.
And the accessibility to just being able to do things you see.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's the right way, because there's kids that are going out and seeing all these different cone drills.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, let me just do that. But not knowing why.
Yeah.
And not knowing that the trainers are not going to put out their best stuff.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everybody sees the tennis ball drill.
Yeah.
Not knowing there's a whole nother. So just to kind of piggyback off that, there's so much more to what is being portrayed on social media.
Yeah.
So there's an opportunity, obviously, to get better and learn some new techniques, new drills. But you don't know, if you don't want to spend the money with the trainer and you're thinking you're getting a free workout, he's not putting out the 6-week program. He's putting out that last week of workouts. You know?
The hype videos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like everybody sees the videos of the athletes like at their highest peak.
Yeah.
They're not seeing when they're failing doing pistol squats.
Yeah.
They're not seeing when they can't bench 225.
Right.
They're just seeing the best parts.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, but I want to go back into your story too, because I know, you know, growing up in the Bay, being from the Bay, you know, where you're at right now is obviously not where you started. I know a little bit about your story. Like you started really from the bottom. And, you know, I know Marshawn Lynch was one of the first guys that really kind of put you on the map a little bit. How'd you start training in Marshawn?
Well, I went to high school with Marshawn.
Yeah.
We both went to Oakland Technical High School. I'm a grade ahead of him. And we both have had the opportunity to just kind of branch off and expand our brands through who we are as people.
Yeah.
Like his personality clearly has taken him to the next level.
Yeah.
And I think that it's not only him, but it's like everyone from our area, from Oakland, North Oakland, West Oakland, East Oakland, we have this outgoing personality.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we're going to talk our shit.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then there's people that gravitate to that because like, I'm going to tell you you're trash.
Yeah.
But I'm going to get you better. You know what I mean? I'm going to make you better. But I'm going to keep it 100% with you. How transparent he is about everything. It's the same way I am with training.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But just to sum it up though, like I went to high school with him, but there was also a large group of other guys that went to Laney and went to Contra Costa.
Josh Johnson.
Josh Johnson, everybody, bro. Like I've had an opportunity to work with so many different people that, you know, obviously come from the same area. And Marshawn has brought me a lot of the Raiders.
Yeah.
He's brought me Bills. He's brought me, you know, Seattle Seahawks. So it's like, once they come and experience it, I'm able to retain the client.
I mean, what was that conversation like with Marshawn? Like, hey dude, like, let me start training you.
I mean, it wasn't even like that. If you called him right now, he'd say I stole his workouts. like literally, we called him right now. But no, we used to go up to Cal Berkeley, run bleachers, Alameda Beach, run in the sand. Like, it's just stuff we just used to do.
Yeah.
And honestly, didn't even know why.
Yeah.
We just kind of like, this is supposed to make us better.
Right.
You know what I mean? And running hills, you just kind of just in your mind, like if I run up this hill, clearly if I run on flat land, I'll be faster.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff is just common sense.
Right.
But then when I started like understanding why and learning the biomechanics of everything, it just made more sense.
I mean, it's no secret. I remember when I came to work with you for my pro day, you know, because all at that point I had been seeing was the hype videos and everything. I'm like, okay, what's this guy doing that's getting these guys so fast? I remember my first day with you, we're working on 4-yard starts. He's like, all right, we're going to tie you up. We're going to put a resisted band around you. Yeah. And you got 500 starts. So I'm like, bro, there's not like, there's a science to it. But at some point too, like you just have to put in the work. And I think that's a testament to like who you've been. Your slogan is our warm up is your workout.
Correct.
Bro, I remember like, again, in middle school, this dude had an entire warehouse filled up with ladders. And that's our warm up. And then Marshawn would go through it and he's got, you know, ankle bands on him and he'd go squat 1,000 pounds.
100%.
And then we're just watching him. So that opened the door for you in a lot of ways to start training pro athletes. Obviously, Odell was probably one of the bigger ones that you've trained. How'd you start working with Odell?
It was interesting. I was working at a gym in Hollywood and I was training a receiver that was with the New York Giants.
Right.
And he said, you know, I'm going to call some guys. I think they really like gravitate to this. And he called a bunch of guys. He called like Antonio Brown. He called Odell. Yeah. I can't remember if he called Calvin Johnson at the time, but he called a bunch of guys, like some big name receivers. And Odell called him back, FaceTimed him back. He's like, what's up? What's going on? And he was like, yo, you should come get this work. So I grabbed the phone and I was like, yo, we don't care about that catch. None of that stuff matters. Like, let's come get this work. And I hung up the phone. And then like 20 minutes later, he rolls in on one of those, remember at the time, the hoverboards. He rolls in and I had a group of like 15, 20 guys. And he was like, basically like looking for Jamal. and I'm looking for Jamal too. Cause I was like, oh shit, I didn't fucked up now. And he was like, yo, let's get some work in.
Yeah.
And he actually pulled up. And so the guys, my guys that I was working with at the time took over the group. And so they started working out in the weight room side, and I didn't have a client. So I started working with Odell. We started doing some drills, doing some movement, explosive exercises. And he left and he was like, I'll see you tomorrow. And I was like, cool. So that's kind of like how it steamrolled. And then, like I said, just asking him what he wanted to work on. First step, explosion. Yeah. You know, he wanted to work on his agility. So we just kind of worked on that.
Yeah. I remember watching, because, you know, I moved away from the Bay. You moved down here to LA. So we weren't in touch for a couple years. I remember watching ESPN and I see Odell on ESPN in the sand somewhere, and you got 2 tennis balls, and, you know, feeding him these tennis balls. Like, obviously your career is kind of paralleled his in a lot of ways. As he's become more successful, you've been kind of along with him in that journey. How has life for you changed since you've kind of gotten, you know, to work with him on a closer level, and like what's kind of doors of that open up for you?
I think the experience, for one, just being able to be like, he's a great guy, amazing human being, along with like all my guys, but like the attention to detail that he has and how he cares about other people, and wanting them to be successful, and there's no ego in it, you know what I mean? Like we talk about it all the time, like, man, that tennis ball drill, like, created a movement. Like, they're doing it on NFL teams. And it's cool. Like, I love to see it. And my relationship with him in those 4 to 5 years was amazing. Like, we went to Germany and we're sitting there, and one of like a player from FC Bayern Munich, he was like, yo, I think I know you. You're like the YouTube tennis ball guy. Your name's like Jamal Liggin, right? And Odell was right there. He was like, what the fuck? And that's when I kind of like started thinking like, damn, this is crazy. I didn't realize people were really watching him train like that. Like, I thought it was just an American thing. But people were really gravitating to these drills. And it kind of just steamrolled. Like, everywhere we would go together, people would recognize the tennis ball drill, which was me. You know what I mean? And obviously they know Odell for who he is. But it was kind of cool. Like, I just always like appreciated like that recognition and the fact that people were paying attention to what I was doing.
I mean, again, that opened a bunch of other doors for you too.
Right.
I mean, training now other celebrities. You know, you do stuff now with Rock Nation. I mean, you traveled and did stuff with Puff, DJ Khaled. Like, how did those connections start to form?
Well, the DJ Khaled connection came from Puff. Okay. I was working with Puff for about 3 or 4 years. And he'd always bring people to the house. And, you know, they're always curious to see what he was doing. And working with him was interesting in itself too. He's an amazing person. He's like very motivational. Like, we're in between sets and he's motivating me. And I've always been inspired with his business work ethic. Like, we're in the middle of a workout, and he saw a commercial for Ciroc at the time, and he was like, yo, I don't like the way that looks. He called all of his board members, and this is like 11:30 at night, and he talked to them about his direction and what he wants. And I didn't really realize it until I started really owning my own business. At the time, I'm like, wow, this dude is wow, this is crazy. But then now that I look at it, it's like the attention to detail, and it's more so wanting more for the people. Like, taking the time to see the intricate levels of detail is what he saw. And he's just trying to get them to see that too. And it's the same thing I do with my trainers. It's like, I pull them to the side and be like, yo, I like the way you've done this. But maybe if you do it this way, you might be able to blah. You know what I mean? Right. And they're like, you know, I didn't think about it like that. And I'm not trying to change anything. I'm just trying to give them a perspective that might help them in the long run. Right. You know?
Yeah. And again, too, like you working that close with a lot of these people that, you know, across society, these guys are idolized. You know, they're kind of seen in a light of almost like these people are immortal, right? Now, you've been behind the scenes with a lot of superstar athletes, celebrities. Obviously, we're talking about confidence here today. What are maybe some of those challenges that all of those people are going through that maybe us on a day-to-day basis don't see, right? Like, what's kind of behind the scenes challenges there, maybe regarding confidence or self-talk?
Wow. I don't think it's more so confidence, right? I think it's accessibility. And that's a very discouraging thing. You and I, we can go to Target today. We can go to Chipotle today. We can go to any restaurant we want. There's a level of mentality that, you know, celebrities or people of higher status have to always think about. For one, safety. Obviously, they have more money than all of us. So they have to worry about who might be watching them, or who might be trying to rob them. 2, you got to worry about the people around you, your family. 3, you got to just worry about, I'm going to have to sign 20 autographs. And you don't want to be the bad guy. Because some days, like we all have bad days. There's times you have to spend a lot of money. You're like, man, I just spent too much money. Or my mom is sick, or my sister, or my girlfriend.
Yeah.
They have these same problems we do, but now you have to go out and keep a smile on your face for a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be that guy on TMZ that's like, oh man, Mike is a dickhead to 6-year-olds.
Yeah.
So you always got to have this persona. So when we see celebrities snap, it's like, oh, we were waiting on it.
Yeah.
Nah, I kind of understand the other side of their world.
Yeah.
And how like OCD-ish almost you have to be when you go outside.
Yeah.
Or when you're in the game or after the game. Like you always have to be aware of what you say and what you do.
Yeah.
So it's just different, man.
Yeah.
Like that's why this place is a safe place for them. They can come here, be themselves. The non-professional athletes don't care.
Yeah.
They're shaking hands with them and be like, cool, good game, whatever.
Yeah.
If they say that.
Yeah.
It's a safe place where they can be themselves.
Yeah. And I think you do a really good job of kind of establishing that culture where everybody gets treated the same. I remember, I'd be working out here and, obviously D1, but not really, we don't need to talk about the rest of that. But, like Joe Hayden will pull up.
Yeah.
Or, some of these other, Odell will pull up, all these other dudes, but they walk in here and it's like, it feels like a locker room, right? Like everybody's the same. Nobody kind of looks down on anybody else.
Yeah.
Is that something that you like had to be intentional about, or is that something?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, man. Like, I think the athletes appreciate that. You know what I mean? And, even with like, when they go to like a 24-hour fitness, they're going to get swarmed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, the people here, they might be their fans.
Right.
But they know that this place is not the place to do that. And also, if they see them outside of here, it's almost like, yo, don't you train at JLT? Cool, come up to the section with me. All right, cool, let's go backstage. Just because like off the family vibe alone.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to feel like force.
Right. Yeah.
Like there's times when Odell has been here and I've had a rookie receiver or a better receiver.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, you train them all. Cool, let's go back to the house. I'm having a little get together or I'm having a barbecue. Whatever the case may be, he treats everybody because of the relationship that I have, like their family.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever had issues with that with like non-professional athletes like that do come to the gym and like maybe they fangirl a little bit? Has that ever been like an issue?
I think it's funny to say this, but I think the rate we charge here kind of eliminates that.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people that have a certain amount of income or just been around, they don't really trip off stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like every now and then we'll get some people that are like really excited, but it's usually because they grew up. Like I got people that are from New York.
Right.
I got people that are from Wisconsin and they see Mercedes Lewis and they're like, yo, I'm a huge Mercedes Lewis fan. Can you at least introduce me? And that's cool because they're working out together. I'm like, you know what? We can work out with them.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's cool to see that because the president of Rock Nation is really good friends with Mercedes Lewis. He's a big Green Bay Packer fan.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Mercedes comes at 8. Why don't you come at 7? And organically, they're friends now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm able to make connections.
Yeah.
I have producers here. I have Gideon's producer that trains here.
Yeah.
There's other producers that train here. I kind of put them in the same hour. So it's like, why not make some new friends out of your industry or in your industry?
You're kind of like a professional matchmaker. Put these dudes, you're like setting them up.
Hey, my man Cage over here, but he didn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far. I would just say, if there's another quarterback that used to, if I had a quarterback that played 20 years ago for San Jose State, I'm like, you know what? I got Mike here at 6. Let me put them together.
Yeah.
Just, it's might be some synergy there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that opens a lot of doors for you too. I know you got like Senshi that works out here.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of other people. Probably that step from, again, just those organic relationships. Now, you got a wide range too of people that come to train with you. I know you train a lot of NFL offseason guys, maybe guys that are just struggling to get on a roster or stay on a team. Then obviously you're training superstars as well. What's the difference that you're seeing between the guy that's struggling to maybe stay on a team or just trying to make it for the first time, maybe they're a rookie, versus a guy that's established? Is it just talent or are there more things there?
Nah, man. I think honestly, it's just outside life. It's everything going on outside of these doors. When you're in these doors, if you make $90 million a year or $90 a year, you're still going to get that work.
Yeah.
And it's how you perceive that, right? And the only thing different is their bank account.
Yeah.
Joe Hayden, you wouldn't know if he had $20 in his bank account. He's still a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's a good family. You know, he's got a wife. He's got kids. He treats everybody the same.
Yeah.
And he embraces that. What he does outside of here is his business. You know, he goes golf, goes on trips, goes to Paris. And I think that he doesn't try to like show that off here.
Yeah.
He's one of the guys, which he is.
Right.
And the only thing different, like I would say, is like the struggles that we all have to go through. Like there's people that have kids that don't know how they're going to take care of them. But when they're here, they're working.
Yeah.
There's people that going through a divorce. They don't show that.
Yeah.
I mean, in confidence, they might explain that to me or their trainer.
Sure.
But it's like, they're still going to push through these workouts. So in these walls, we're all the same.
Yeah.
Outside, that's what they're going through.
Just from what you observe, like the guys that make it and they have long careers like Joe Hayden versus the guys that are maybe a flash in the pan. Like, is there anything there that you're like, oh, I can kind of tell this guy's going to make it, or I can kind of tell maybe this guy might be maybe not as sustainable of a career?
You never know sometimes.
Yeah.
The only times I can kind of assume from just watching what happens as the times have gone on, it's just work ethic and like the people they choose to keep in their circle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's very easy when they come in with like, you know, maybe 5 or 10 guys that, you know, necessarily aren't in their best interest.
Right.
Or have them in places or out of the club every night. And at the end of the day, it's their decision.
Right.
But, you know, the people they grew up with, they're also, you know, they have money now too, based off their friend.
Right.
If their friend has just got hit for $23 million, they're right there with them.
Right.
So it's the people that I see that have great friendships and their childhood friends sometimes that keep them out of the trouble.
Yeah.
Or even the girlfriend or the wife.
Right.
It's just keeping their head on straight.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to tell who's not gonna make it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because there's guys with phenomenal athletic ability that last 20 years. And there's guys with phenomenal athletic ability that don't make it 1 year.
Yeah.
It's just based off looking at them train, I can never tell.
Right. You talk about athletic ability, and there's like a ton of chatter, right, on social media about different sports. You've obviously trained guys from around the world. You know, what sport's got the best athlete? I can't.
I've had this conversation, yes, and I think more so it's like you have to really break down the athlete. Who's faster? Who's quicker? Who's stronger? You can't really say like a center in the NBA is a better athlete because a soccer player can move better.
Right.
So it's like you got to almost, you know, like minimize your answer based off the question.
Yeah.
So it's like faster athlete to me, track and field.
Yeah.
Quicker athlete, soccer player.
Yeah.
Who can jump higher? I don't know, like high jumpers in Olympic track and field.
Yeah.
So it's like sumo wrestlers are stronger.
Yeah.
It's all relative.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's hard to say, like, you can't say LeBron's a better athlete than Ronaldo because they play two different sports.
Right. Yeah.
So it's hard.
Yeah. You put LeBron on a pitch. I mean, dude, he's getting probably juked out and
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But you put Ronaldo on a basketball court, I don't even think he's tall enough, man, to be out there.
Right. It's like saying Messi is better than DK Metcalf.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, in what though?
Yeah.
Chess?
Yeah.
Or soccer? Like, it's relative, you know?
Who's like the freakiest athlete, just ability-wise, that you think you've been around?
Oh, man. It's funny that somebody asked me this today, and I always revert back to Danny Amendola.
Really?
Really?
That's a huge. I mean, dude, you trade Saquon, you know, Nas, like, really?
Odell's just naturally athletic.
Right.
Anything he does, he's good at. Mercedes, as big as he is, he still moves like a DB. You know what I mean? But there's guys that are just like Marshawn. Marshawn don't even need to warm up. He can squat.
Yeah.
You've seen it.
Yeah, I have.
He comes in the gym and just squats and benches 400 pounds.
Yeah.
It's like, that's natural athletic ability. I think, but just from an athletic standpoint, strong, does all the drills right, like attentive.
Yeah.
You know, the details of everything he does was honestly Danny Amendola.
Wow. That's surprising to me.
Sure, I had that.
As far as like guys that you've trained, has there anybody that's maybe, I know you're rooting for all of them, but there's anybody that's maybe produced at a level that maybe surprised you in whatever league they're in or sport they're in?
Man, that's interesting. That's great. It's hard. I don't really get surprised too much.
Yeah.
I get a surprise off certain movement.
Yeah.
Like when I see somebody do something, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You just did that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
We train like a lot of small school guys too. You know, I know like Devin Singletary was a guy that you were training kind of one at the same time when I was going through my pro day. No, Max Crosby. Like, there's a lot of guys that are small school guys that you have a lot more insight to than maybe the normal or casual NFL fan. Those guys are both killing it right now. Like, is that surprising to you at all?
No, man. Like, their work ethic, they're good guys too. So it's like, they eat, sleep, and live football, but at the same time, they're like aware of like their body. You know what I mean? I think the main thing too is like, and I preach this to all my guys, like Mercedes Lewis is going into his 18th year.
Yeah.
He's taking care of his body. Yeah. He understands how to use his body. Kirk Morrison, good friend of mine, and he played in the league a long time. Yeah. And the first thing he said to me when I met him was, Maul, know your body. Know your body. And some athletes are not going to be able to do what other athletes can, but it's just it's them knowing their limitation. Yeah. So it's like athletes that are really aware of their body and take care of their body last way longer. Yeah. Big question I got for you. Like, you've done a lot of collaborations now, just throughout your professional career. You've done stuff with Silver Air, private jet company. You've done stuff with Sleep Number. You've done stuff with Nike. I mean, at any point, are you like pinching yourself? Like, dude, is this real or is this all the time?
Yeah.
Like I'm it's funny because it's like a client will hit me up and be like, yo, you got to connect on a PJ. Yeah. And I'm like, I kind of like revert back to like, I remember when I was like taking the Greyhound bus to Oakland to go see my daughter for like $35. Yeah. And now I'm trying to set up with my connections and my sponsors a private jet. Yeah. It's always surreal, and I never take anything for granted. Yeah. I think it's a blessing that I have the ability to even put these people together, you know?
Well, we talk a lot about like visualization, confidence, like you manifest things, right? Like when you're back in, just, 20 years ago, you try to step back into the mindset of what Jamal was thinking back then. Like, did you see any of this stuff happening, or was it just kind of a gradual process?
I knew there was something more for me. I didn't know the road. I didn't know the journey. I just knew that it was bigger than West Oakland. I knew that it was bigger than the Bay Area. Yeah. And not to say that I couldn't have done this, but the accessibility and the type of clientele that I wanted to work with was in Miami, New York, or LA. Yeah. And so I just had to figure out how to make that work. Yeah. And research who was out here doing what. Coming out here was definitely hard, and figuring out my niche and where I fit in at was even harder. Yeah. So yeah.
How'd you do that? Because I know when you came out here, hey, you've told me this before, like you were eating off the dollar menu and just
100%.
trying to make things happen.
I still eat the dollar menu.
Everybody go there.
Yeah, I still eat the dollar menu.
So like, what was that process? I mean, you just moved out here. Did you have anything lined up, or you just said?
I moved out here and I was working for a boutique private gym. All right. And there was like, a handful of NFL clients, about 20, and there's a sprinkle of celebrities, and obviously Instagram wasn't a thing at the time. It was MySpace. I was gonna say MySpace. I'm old. I'm an old man, but MySpace was Instagram was starting to pick up. Yeah. And I kind of fell into like, I was good at making websites and graphic design. So I was building websites. I was parking cars at a hotel not too far away, and I was living in the gym, and it was just a humbling experience. Me and another trainer were sleeping on PT beds, man. And he had his office, I had my office, and we'd sleep in our office and get up in the morning at 6 a.m. And the clients would be like, man, you guys are always here. And I'd be like, we live here. But I didn't say that, you know what I mean? A lot of clients are just now finding out based off some of the podcasts I've done. But moving out here was hard. Yeah. I literally had to like figure it out, but always talking to people. Like, I went to lunch today and got 2 people coming back to the gym just based off, like, I saw them wearing some workout clothes. I was like, oh, what gym you go to? And they're like, oh, we train in 24-hour fitness. And I said, my brother owns a gym. I never tell people I own the gym. Yeah. You know what I mean? You get a different approach when you say that. So I just say, hey, my brother owns a gym. You should check it out. There's a bunch of cool trainers there. They've got classes. And they're like, oh, I've heard of this gym. And that's an interesting part where JLT is at right now, because a lot of people have heard about JLT through somebody that comes here or on TV or some Instagram celebrity, I guess, has posted the light.
They're seeing the logo, right?
It's cool. It's cool to get recognized for what we're doing in the fitness community.
Yeah. So it's open to anybody. I mean, anyone can come train here. You know what I mean?
Anybody can train here.
Come get it.
You can sign up for a class.
Yeah.
You have to know the trainer, or obviously reach out to the Instagram or website and say that you're interested in training. We can set you up.
Yeah.
And it's up to you to continue that journey.
Yeah.
You know?
So when you came down here, there's a lot of guys probably like you and girls that they know they're destined for something more. You can't really explain it. You know that there's something inside of you that's driving you to something more. For me, I mean, that's what caused me to want to walk on first and then end up earning a scholarship at a D1 program. But when you came down here, like that, I know that was your dream. Did you give yourself like a timeline on like, dude, I gotta make this happen? There was no plan B.
No. I mean, I honestly, I hear people say that if you're there shouldn't be a plan B or plan C. You should work on your plan A, which I agree.
Yeah.
But I think while I was working on my plan A, while I was chipping away at plan B and C, you know what I mean? Like I told you, I was working on websites, which now I do web design for the gym.
Right.
So I was practicing what I was going to end up having to do. I call it like running my own company within a company. So I treat my business and my life like a 7-story building. When I walk in, when I wake up in the morning, I check the janitorial services. So I make sure my house, the gym, everything is clean. I go to the second floor for admin, pay my bills, check on, emails, my admin, make sure she's checking off T's and dotting I's. Third floor, social media. Did we post today? And I'm doing all these things like I'm walking upstairs and like I'm working in Amazon.
Right.
And then all the way up to training. Like I break everything down into non-negotiables, try to knock down a little bit every day. Instead of trying to get too overwhelmed with 1 or 2 projects.
Yeah. I think when people kind of overwhelm themselves, again, your big goals, sometimes that can cause us to paralyze ourselves because it's hard to break that down. Was there somebody that kind of showed you that process, or was that something that you kind of developed on your own over time?
I kind of looked at a lot of people that I don't want to say they weren't doing it right.
Sure.
Or were just doing it in their way. And I looked at them and like, okay, maybe I could take a little bit from there or not take a lot from there.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. And so I picked up a lot of things. Like this place is a combination of my ideas and things that I've seen not work and work. You know what I mean? The lights are in here not to be cool. I've done extensive research on, what it feels like to work out in a dark blue setting for my yoga classes. I've looked at like why green lighting, obviously you think about money. So subconsciously you're like, I need to work harder. So like the lights aren't just for the parties and just to be cool. It's like, it has a real meaning to it.
Yeah.
The reason like the layout of the gym is set up is for not just for the aesthetics, but the flow, the way the racks are set up. Like I looked at why we need to have events, why like a lot of gyms don't make a lot of money after they close. So it's like, why not utilize this space for events and private parties and different activations that Nike can come rent this place out and host an event.
Right.
So it's like looking at all these things. I've looked at like why I do them for a reason.
Yeah. And you do things a lot differently than most gyms.
100%.
I mean, you were showing us your Super Bowl party. You had 450 people in
457 people.
Oh my gosh.
But the first party only had like 200.
Okay. All right. Only 200.
So for Cardi's brother had like 10.
That's cool.
I know.
And that's cool. We have kickbacks here all the time.
Like,
Sometimes I'll invite all the NFL guys and their girlfriends and we could all just watch a movie.
Yeah.
Like have a movie night.
Yeah.
Or we'll have a Taco Tuesday. And it's not just to throw a party. It's just building community.
Yeah.
Like, and they get to mingle with all the other clients.
Yeah.
The 5 a.m. clients don't know who trains at 2 p.m. So it's like, if you're here, you obviously train with a trainer or a class.
Yeah.
What time you train with? Oh, I train with Jamal in the morning.
Yeah.
Dope, what y'all be doing? So it's a good experience to kind of let them organically mingle.
Right. Yeah. And obviously you got to be careful with the people that you allow in.
100%.
I know we were not going to name drop anybody, but we know like sometimes you're talking about, girlfriends, wives, they can get a little crazy.
Yeah, of course.
This is kind of a safe haven for a lot of people, but I remember when I was there, there'd be young ladies pulling up.
Of course.
That were having issues with somebody inside.
Of course.
Like, how do you handle those situations?
I mean, I don't think it was issues. I think it was more so like, why are we not talking no more type of situation. I don't think there's been any serious drama here, but it comes with who they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not just the professional athletes. It's the people that are, actors and models and everybody has experiences. And this place is very easy to get into if you just take a class.
Right.
And the classes are obviously revolving around professional programs or just clients in general.
Right.
So it's like, if your ex-girlfriend trained here, you know what I mean, and you want to come back and try to get the whole thing back, let me go ahead and go work out at JLT. And so it's never been any malicious intent.
Yeah.
It's more so like, yo, this person trains here.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan, or
Right.
I want to like meet this person.
Yeah.
But I've done a fairly good job of trying to separate the two.
Okay. Do you have like a vetting process of like, you know, again, anybody can come for a workout or a class. Like, do you have to maybe vet out like, hey, you know, this person might be.
They usually vet themselves out.
Yeah.
Once we kind of see that you're what's the term now? Clout chasing. Or you're being too thirsty.
Yeah.
We kind of like, all right, what's the deal with this person?
Yeah.
Because it's not easy to honestly get in here, but it's accessible, and I don't want to turn anybody away.
Right.
So we give everybody an opportunity.
Yeah.
And like I said, sometimes the rates kind of deter people.
Sure.
And it's okay. Like a certain demographic of people that can afford this place typically are doing the most.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And, you know, it's if we have an event, the people they're trying to get in contact with are not here.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I space it out.
What's sort of the funniest experience you've had either with a pro athlete or with a celebrity?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I don't know. I think I just had some, it wasn't even a pro athlete. I had an actor here.
Okay.
And he was here working out.
Yeah.
And he was here with a friend of his.
Yeah.
And another friend of his
Can
was
you say
here.
who it was or no?
No, I don't want to
Okay.
say. I don't say. A previous friend of his
All right.
came and worked out, and they kind of didn't say anything, but I never saw the friend again.
Okay.
But I saw the current client, and I was like, who was that? He was like, man, I don't want to talk about it. So it usually eliminates itself. But
Yeah.
there was no violence, which there's never been here.
Good.
But it helps to like kind of know what I'm getting myself into.
Yeah, sure.
But it's harder now, man. It's like, it used to be just me by myself.
Yeah.
So I could vet it out very easy. Now it's 9 trainers.
Yeah.
So I don't know the dynamic.
Yeah. I
So-
mean, you stayed out of the top boys. I know you've had like Vanessa Hudgens here before.
Yeah.
Zach Efron.
Yeah,
Like
for
all
sure.
all these people. There's never been any drama with that. That's good.
No.
I think one of the funniest things, and it was funny to me now looking back on it, when it happened, it was really traumatizing. But we used to, when I was training with you for my pro day, you know, we'd be out there at 6 a.m. on the football field. One of the first things you'd have us doing is like these sprints over these hurdles, these widgets.
Correct.
You know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, go ahead.
He's hard to get triggered. It's like 6 a.m., bro. And like my body's still waking up, and we're running these full sprints to increase our stride lengths over these hurdles. And I mean, it's early. It's barely bright outside. It's barely bright outside. And so I'm running. I knock over one hurdle. That caused me to go a little off balance, so I hit another one. And then like on the third or fourth one, I just like snap it in half.
Yeah, for sure.
And I remember looking over at him, bro, and I thought he was gonna like strangle me. I was
Just a face of disappointment.
I was just like, I was like, I almost just left. I was like, I was gonna keep running home at this point.
Yeah, it's early, man. It's cold outside. I get it.
Yeah.
But I was just like, Jesus Christ, get your knees up. Let's go, man. This is your 40, not mine.
Yeah.
The craziest part is he had the audacity to ask you if he was top 500, bro.
Next question.
Maybe looks.
Yeah,
Top
for
500
sure.
looks.
Okay.
It's Saved by the Bell. Mario Lopez over here.
Listen, bro. Hey, you gotta do something, man.
Hey,
You gotta do something.
I was always worried about this one. Not from an athletic standpoint, just like the girls.
Oh.
Man, this guy's being easily distracted.
Nah. Oh, well, I remember when because I was living out here for a few months when I was, training with you. And
Correct.
I feel like you just have this like almost sixth sense.
Oh
I
man.
remember there was one time I was coming in here and I had a little something going on with me mentally with this girl.
Yeah.
And I didn't say anything. I felt as if I had a great workout or as good as they had been. And for some reason, you pulled me off to the side and you're like, what's going on with you?
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah.
I do it all the time, man.
How do what is that come from? Is that just experience or you?
It's literally like, okay, there's a client that came in here maybe a few months ago, and I can tell by her energy. And she told me that her dad passed away. And I was like, I could tell. Like my uncle had passed away last year and I had the same energy. And then there's clients that are going through relationship issues, and there's just a lot of different things like financial situations. People don't might be kicked out of there, a lot lost their job. Like we have a lot of actors here who are going through, the strike situation.
Right.
And it's an interesting process to go through, and this is their outlet. So like this place, and I've gotten several anonymous emails and text messages from people just saying like, this place has saved their life. And not me in particular, just the fact that they have a place to go to where there's good energy and we're supportive of whatever they're going through, you know? So it's like, I can always kind of just tell, man, like we're human beings.
Yeah.
And I'm not just the guy that's going to pay attention to like how good or bad or in the workout. I'm like, something's up.
Yeah.
Because you don't normally do this.
Yeah.
So it's got to be something external.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And again, like you got a lot of guys that have been training with you for years and people that keep coming back to you. And I think a big part of that is your attention to detail to be able to see, but read between the lines and figure out what's going on at a deeper level. How often do you stay in touch with these people during the season? Because I mean, obviously they're here all off season for the most part.
Contrary to popular belief, not because I don't care or don't want to.
Yeah.
I kind of let them do football.
Yeah.
Or I let them do Formula One, or I let them do tennis, or I let them do NBA, whatever. Because I don't want to consistently be in the back of their head. Because me personally, if you call me, which has happened, I'm going to be like, yo, your game, man, third down, third quarter, 20 seconds on the clock, you had a hitch, I saw you cut, and they're just calling to see how I'm doing.
Right.
And I'm in work mode.
Right.
Because I can't turn it off.
You care.
Yeah.
You want
and
them,
I want to, and I'm thinking they're calling about how they played.
Yeah.
And usually that is the case. 99% of the time it is, but sometimes they're like, yo, what's going on? How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And for me, it's like, you know what? Let me step back. Because I'm the type of person, like when I'm in NFL offseason mode, like my closest friends know to call me in August.
Right.
You know what I mean? They don't even call me to kick it. And it's not because they're being like rude.
Yeah.
They're just like, Jamal's in work mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I'm doing a specialty program, I'm locked in. If I'm working on something for the gym, I'm locked in. Like we have a fundraiser coming up. I'm working on that. And so it's like, for me, I try to let them just have their peace of mind. Let them be with their family. Let them take football in. I've seen these guys for months, daily. I see these guys more than they see their own family.
Yeah.
Now it's time to let them do that.
Yeah.
And then I started talking to them close to the end of the season.
Yeah.
Reaching out to guys about when they want to start up. And then we right back in the mix, like nothing happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you've been doing this for some years now. And I know you were working when you first started, 12, 14, 16-hour days. You've achieved a lot of success and you're still putting in that amount of time.
Yeah, man.
What's motivating you? Like, why are you still doing that much?
Why not?
Yeah.
Like, it's exciting for me, man. Like, I get up at 5 a.m. every day. Now I'm getting older, so I kind of like stretch and warm up and kind of just mentally prepare for my day.
Yeah.
And then I go into work mode. Like, I go over my non-negotiables. Like, I need a little more prep time. Like, I used to just get up 10 minutes for my first client.
Yeah.
And throw some tennis balls. It don't work like that no more.
So it's
You know what I mean? Like my neck gonna be hurting, my hamstrings getting tighter. But I do that just to like mentally prepare.
Yeah.
I've been dipping into the yoga world and meditation world.
Okay.
So it's like it's interesting to kind of figure out like this calming space.
How has that helped you?
It's helping.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's not helping.
Yeah.
It's definitely giving me more perspective. I'm a big perspective guy.
Yeah.
I kind of look at things from like multiple perspectives on why things are not going in a direction they should or shouldn't be. But, just kind of reiterate is I work so much because I honestly don't know how to stop. You know what I mean? Like if I see an idea, an opportunity, like all this past week, I worked on a deck for a coaching clinic that I'm going to be doing overseas with like 4 or 5 different teams. And I put in so much work ethic and detail. And just so happens Real Madrid is in town at UCLA. Yeah. And I get calls from my guys like, yo, come to practice, come check me out. The coaches are calling me like, yo, I want to talk to you. Yeah. So I had an opportunity, not knowing this was even going to happen, but I put in 5 a.m. to like 2 in the morning working on this deck. Yeah. Because I just wanted to send it out anyways. And I said, you know what? I'm going to send it to my guys. They're in town. Wow. So it's like, a lot of things happen. I like to say I'm the Forrest Gump of fitness. Yeah. Where I'm always in the right place at the right time. Yeah. But I tell my trainers all the time, like, yo, you want to work with supermodels? Put a deck together. Send it to all these different modeling agencies. Don't wait for them. They're not going to call you. Set up a program, set up a clinic, set up a coaching seminar, set up a specialty program, and pitch it. Pitch it to 400 people. 2 people are going to call.
Yeah.
1 person might sign up and then do it all over again. You know what I mean? So it's like, I live for the win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that happen in my life that don't go as planned.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of relationships in my world that don't pan out the way they're supposed to be. But out of all the things that happen, there's like 1 or 2, creases of daylight.
Yeah.
And I just kind of keep going with that daylight.
You're just staying ready. You never know when that opportunity presents itself. But when you see something that you're aligned with, you're getting all those things ready to go so that when it's there, it's no downtime or wait time or prep time. Like, you're ready to go.
100%.
All right. So you're working with a lot of NFL guys, a lot of NFL running backs. It's a weird time to be an NFL running back. I know you just had Najee Harris in here. What's kind of that mindset right now around a lot of these guys are like, man, as a running back, I feel like I'm not being valued like I should be in the market. What are those conversations like, and where do you think that position's headed?
It's interesting, man. It's twofold from like a owner standpoint and from a coach's standpoint. The longevity of a running back is obviously, everybody knows, not that long.
Yeah.
And then from a player standpoint, these are phenomenal athletes. They're putting their body on the line, regardless if they're running the ball or not.
Yeah.
Every play.
Yeah.
Every play. So it's like, I agree with them. They should get paid what they're worth. And then on the owner side of it, it's like this investment that I'm making might not last 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Depending on the type of injuries or what might happen. So it's a catch-22, man. And it's hard for me personally. I think they should get paid. Why not? But then I look at it too, like, man, he got to have a ball out year.
Right.
He's got to earn that check.
Right.
And the work that I see these running backs put in, knowing, how hard their position is, puts me on the side of them getting paid.
Yeah.
And I respect them and what they do, and then from the owner's perspective, it's like, I might only get 2 years out of this guy, but you got some great years out of him.
Yeah.
You might win a Super Bowl with this guy. So it's hard, man. And I don't think I'm in the position to really, solidify an answer, but if I had to, I'd probably go with the side of the athlete.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that, man. You got to keep these guys, you got to keep them on the field. There's so many fans that come specifically for a Saquon or for a Najee.
Right.
If these guys aren't valued or feeling the value that they should be receiving, then it's not going to be good for the league long term.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, listen, this has been a great episode. Jamal, love seeing you again, my man. Staying connected here. Give us a follow here. Jamal, where can people find you on social media?
My direct Instagram is Jamal Liggin, JamalLiggin. And as far as the gym, it's JLT Performance, JLT_performance, where we can, give you some insight on what we got coming up, classes, activations.
Yeah.
You got to be a member to come to the parties.
Yeah.
Or you got to word of mouth.
Yeah.
But they're always a good time. It's safe, fun. But yeah, man, if you want anything, any type of information, I try my best to reply.
Yeah.
But now we got somebody kind of doing the JLT.
Yeah, got to.
So it's good though. Like if you send an email out, same situation. We'll try to get back to you and get you in here.
Awesome, man.
Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you, dog.